Hello, everybody, and we are in lesson 6.2, which is on page 379. And this is on what's called measures of central tendency. And I'm sure you've heard mean, median, and mode before. That's what that means: the average, the middle, and the number most often. So mean is the average. The median is the middle number if you put them in order. And the mode is the most often. Sometimes no mode. And the range is largest number minus smallest number. So the order is important when you subtract, not the other way around. Has to be like large minus small. By the way, this is symbol means number. So those are the 4 items we're going to find. And in the middle of the page, we do have some things to underline. Whoops, stay here. You can use different measures to interpret and compare sets of data. So the different measures are mean, median, mode. So those are the ones. And when do you use what? This is what this box will answer. One way to summarize, so it's about summarizing a set of data, is to use a measure of central tendency. Mean, median, and mode are all measures of central tendency. The measure of central tendency that best describes a data set may depend on whether the data has an outlier. So an outlier is a number that is unusually large or unusually small compared to the other numbers. So it's kind of like out there, yeah? An outlier is a data value that is much greater or much less than values in the data set. And sometimes you go, man, that's an outlier. And somebody else says, nah, not really. It should be obvious. It should be really, really weird, bigger or smaller, okay? Review of mean, median, and mode, and when to use, this is the important part, which measure of central tendency. So the mean, the average, the way you find it is you add up all the data values and you divide by how many there are, yeah? The mean is often referred to as the average, yeah? When to use, this is what's important. Use the average when the data set does not have an outlier, yeah? The median is the middle value, but you have to put the numbers in order. So this is important. So they have to be put in order from smallest to largest, and then you pick the middle. Sometimes there are 2, if it's an even data set, even numbers, like 10 numbers, you're going to have 2 numbers in the middle. Then you take those 2 and find the average. If it's an odd number data set, like 13 numbers, you have 1 in the middle. Okay, and that's the median. The median, use the median to describe the data set if it does have an outlier. So if there is an outlier, use the median. Otherwise, use mode. Use mean, average. The mode is the one that occurs most often. Sometimes none of them occur more often than others. So then there would be no mode. Okay, it doesn't always have to be mode. Use mode when the data are non-numeric or when choosing the most popular. So non-numeric means if you don't have numbers, like let's say you have car brands or car like Volkswagen, and you count how many Volkswagens, how many Toyotas. So that's non-numeric. And most popular is the mode. All right, next we are, oh, I guess we're done with this page. Again, I urge you to rewind and pause if you need to finish your notes slowly. Also, a really good idea for learners that are having a hard time keeping up with writing is to watch the video once without writing anything and just watching, and then watch it again and writing it down. I know that takes twice as long, but you're gonna benefit from it, okay? So we're on page 380. I am not doing the first question, but I do want you to answer this question over here. Which measure of central tendency is most affected by an outlier? The mean or average? Okay. And we're going to do this one. It's the weight of books in ounces. So 12 ounces, how many books do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 books, each one has a weight. Decide, is there an outlier? I don't see one. So this looks like it's all pretty close in numbers, okay? Look at the next question. The golf scores, the 134 is an outlier. It's not within the normal range. So we're not going to do this one, but I just want you to see what an outlier looks like. And the question says, find the mean, median, and mode. And we're going to also add the range because a lot of the questions will ask for the range. And it's so easy to find. Okay, tell which measure of central tendency best describes the data. Well, because there's no outlier, it's the average. Which is called the mean. Yeah, if there is an outlier, the outlier will affect the mean the most. So then you would use the median. All right, so to find the average, oh, you know what? First, I always like to put the numbers in order first, because eventually we'll have to find the median. And so that's a good thing to do first off. You don't need it for the mean, but you will need it for the median. So starting with 9 and put a comma between, and I always cross them out when I'm done, and then comes 10. There's 2 of them. And 12, 15, 16. And so if you're having a big data set, then I would even count them and make sure I got every one of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now notice that these questions are not that hard. There's no real bad algebra like you involved, right? So you add and subtract, you divide. However, the main mistake that I see is when students are not careful, how many numbers do they have? And they drop one, they forget one, and that will change your answers. So the main thing is to be very careful with dealing with the set of numbers, that you have all of them written down when you put them in order or when you add them. So the average or mean, you add them all. 9 plus 10 plus 10, use a calculator, get 1. And then you divide by how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the top you add and the bottom you divide. So when you add them, my number I get is 72. I urge you to try it yourself. Divided by 6 is 12. So there's our average. The median is the number in the middle. If they're in order, they have to be in order. and these are in order. Then there's 2 in the middle because it's even that we got 6. 6 sets is an even number, so we got 2 in the middle. 10 plus 12 is 22. And then you divide by 2. Oh, sorry, I thought ahead. 10 plus 12 is 22. 22 divided by 2 is 11, is the median. And then we have the mode. Remember, not always a mode. Sometimes all numbers are just one time. But in this case, 10 is the mode because that's the most often. And then I added the range, the largest minus the smallest. And 16 take away 9 is 7, I believe. So the range tells you how spread out the numbers are. All right. So those are the things you have to know how to do, find them. The mean, the average, remember you're adding all the numbers and dividing by how many numbers there are. The median, your numbers need to be in order. You find the middle one. The mode is the one that's most often. The range is the largest minus the smallest. Look for outliers. Oh yeah, we haven't answered the question. Oh yeah, no outlier, it's the mean. Yep, we answered all the parts of the question. Next page, 381. Now we're solving equations. So you have to review solving equations big time if you're weak in that for this activity here. You can use an equation to find the value needed to achieve a given average. So let's say you want an average in your math class of 90% overall, and you're wondering what should be next exam grade to get that 90%. This is what this is talking about. Not all students have that feature where you can try on Canvas putting in different grades and see what happens. What Canvas will do is just now what you're going to see we're doing with math. That's what the computer will do. But here's how we do it by hand, right? Finding a data value, the grades. Oh, you know what? This book sometimes doesn't explain the parts. So there's nothing given in problem 2. So I'm cross that out and call them your grade. In math, we're 80, 93, and 91%, right? In a test. What grade would you need on the next exam? And I'm going to change this average to 90 on the 4 exams. So you have 1, 2, 3 so far. What's the 4th one? The 4th one I'm going to call X. And I'll write down what it means. There's one more exam and I'm going to call it X because I don't know what I need on it, but I know I want 90% overall, the average. So let's write it out. The first one was 80. The second one was 93. I'm adding them to find the average plus the 91. But the 4th one is called X. We have to add it also. And then there are 4 of them. And I want an average of 90%. Okay, so 4 exams, 3 I know, 1 I don't. The average is 90 divided by 4. So we're solving this equation for X. So the first thing is I'm going to get rid of this 4, multiply it over here. That cancels it out. And I'm going to add these numbers. So 80 plus 93 plus 91 is 264. Plus the X. The 4 is gone, equals 90 times 4 is 360. And now I'm solving for x, which is the final test grade. So I'm subtracting 264, bring down the x, bring down the equal sign. 360 minus 264 is 96. I would need remember, X is the 4th exam grade. X is 96, 96% on the exam to achieve 90% overall. And then let's look at number B here, or letter B. I'm going to change my color. So the question is, if 100 is the highest possible score on the 4th exam, is it possible to raise your average to 92? Explain. So in this case, we don't have an X for our 4th exam. We're going to try out 100. Let's say, suppose you get 100, or let the last exam equal 100. So suppose that's what you're getting, right? We still have the other 3, 80 plus 93 plus 91, but now the 4th one will be 100. And we're dividing by 4, we got 4 grades. And we want to see if that is going to bring the average above 92. So I have to actually add the top, which is 364. Do it yourself, use your calculator. Don't trust me, that's another thing. Sometimes you must do these twice just to make sure. And I only did it once. 364 divided by 4 is 91. So that's the highest you can ever get. So no. No, the highest class average or overall average could be 91. Okay. So what's the difference? Here we used an X for the last exam because we wanted to see what we need to get. Here we wanted to try out how high can I go with my last exam to be 100. So there's no X, okay? I also want to do 3 because these equations, I see every year students struggle with this. So I'm going to give you several examples of this. So this one does not have a meaning, like here we had grades and you attached some kind of real life scenario to the numbers. Here they're just giving us numbers. So sometimes that happens. It says find the value of X such that the data set, we got 3 numbers, and when you add those 3 plus the X, you get an average of 35. So what number would X have to be to have an overall average of 35? To get the average or mean, I have to add all the numbers. Including that X. And then divide by how many numbers, including the X I have. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. You got to count that X. And that has to equal a 35 overall average. So this part right here is your overall average you want to achieve. And you're looking for that last link that'll help you do that. So let's look. The first thing, remember, you multiply the 4 out here, cross it out here. It's gone, okay? Then you're going to add all these numbers. And then rewrite rewrite your solutions with that. And please do it yourself. I got 100.9 plus that X is 4 times 35 is 140. So now we have no more fraction, and then subtract 109.9 from both sides. And I'm going to come up here. X is equal to 140, take away 100.9 is 31.1. So this number here would have to be 31.1 in order to achieve an overall average of 35. Okay. And now we're looking at this kind of plot. This is called a line plot. The line, so this is a sales problem or story, let's just say. It's not a problem. The line plot shows the numbers of weekly sales. It's hard to grasp. What are we talking about? Try to really make a connection and make sense of the question, right? It's hard. It took me a minute. The line plot shows the numbers of weekly sales one salesperson made in the first 9 weeks of a 10-week sales period. So I'm looking at this number. So 12 sales first week, 13 sales and 13 the third, 14 sales, 14 sales, 14 sales the following 3 weeks, 15, 15, 15 the last 3 weeks. So altogether you got 9 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't know what the numbers mean, 12, 13, 14, 15. Whatever he's selling, that's maybe the items. He sold 12 items, whatever he's selling. Could it be cars? No, I don't think anybody sells 12 cars per week. How about he works at Sears, he's selling dishwashers or refrigerators or washing machines. He could sell 12 washing machines in a week, I suppose. So this is how I look at it to make sense of the question. What does this numbers mean, right? Each X is 12. Here it's 13. Here it's 14. Here's 15. 9 weeks. So the salesperson's target, or what he wants to achieve, because salespeople make commission, they get a little bit of money for each item they sell. So that's how they make their money. Yeah, commission it's called. The salesperson's target is an average of 14 sales each week. So that's what he wants to do. If he sells 14 items each week, he's able to make a living. He will earn enough money on commission to make his payments for the car, for the house, for the family, whatever he has, right? How many sales does the salesperson need in the 10th week to meet that goal, that target? So really, we're looking, where shall we put the X? There's one more X coming, right? 10th week, one more X. We got to put somewhere here. All right, so let's look at these numbers. So if I need to find the average because it's talking about average. So average. So I need to add up all these numbers and add one X. So X is 10th week sales. It just happens to look like these X, but so we have a 12 plus we got 2 13ths, we got 3 14ths and 3 15ths. Plus our X. And then divide by how many do we have? This was 9, and then the one more is 10. It's 10 weeks. And we want it to equal 14. That's our goal. Okay. All right. When I add up all the, so first, remember you can do that. Get rid of the 10 here, bring it here, multiply it. That's how you get rid of that. Multiply it over here. And then you want to add all these or find that answer. Put that in your calculator. And please try it yourself because I'm not sure if I always do this right. I got 125 when I did this string of computation, plus the x, don't forget that at the end, is equal to 140. Because 14 times 10 is 140. Subtract 125. Bring down the x, bring down the equal sign, and it is 15. So he needs another x here. He needs another sale of 15. So let's answer that. The salesperson has to sell. So that's a little pressure, right? Because he's only made 15 is like the highest. Has to sell 15 items, whatever they are, to have a overall average of 14 sales. Okay, well, you know what, guys? If you're sitting there going, huh? Please do me a favor, rewind, look at it again, try to make sense of it. If you can, great. If you cannot, we'll keep working on it. There's a connection between reading and math. And if students tell me, why do we have to read in math? It's because you cannot do this without understanding what it says in here. What you're trying to do is make a connection between the story told and this picture. And that connection, once you make it, will help you figure out the rest, yeah? So take these, underline the parts that you think are important. What's with 9 weeks? Oh, look, there's 9 X's. I added one for the 10th week. What does those numbers mean? Oh, look, they are the sales he makes in each week, whatever he's selling. We're looking for an average. We're looking for the last week sales. So try it, you know, that you cannot achieve it unless you give it a try. I think that's it on that page. We're now on page 382. And skipping the range because I've talked about that plenty, how to find the range. So look for your notes, how to find the range, skipping all this and skipping those numbers up there, going down to the bottom, because I thought this was better data than this, because this makes more, well, homeroom. And no, I always find it interesting how many hours students spend on the internet. I think this is actually lowballing it, because I think a lot of students spend a lot of time on the internet, on their phones mostly. And that's, to me, is time that you can spend doing your homework or going for a walk or doing outdoor sports, spend time with your family, anything but, to me. So that's my opinion, of course. So the list below shows the amount of time in hours, one student. This is why this reading is so important. This is one student spent on the internet per day. Day 1, day 2, day 3, 4, all right, over a 2-week period. So there should be 14 numbers because 14 days in 2 weeks, right? Make a line plot of the data. The line plot is the same one we just did with all those X's that are stacked on top of each other, right? So that's the first thing. And then after that, we still have to calculate the mean, median, mode, and range. So 2 parts. First, the line plot. I always like starting by putting the numbers in order. So that's a good habit. And when you put them in order, you want to cross them out as you go. And put a comma. Otherwise, you don't know if it's 1 or 11 or 111. Oh, how many 3s do I have? 5 of them. And then comes 4. There's only 1, I think, and 2 5s. And 1 6. All right, so put numbers in order. And then you can make your line plot. I'll do it over here. So you draw a horizontal line. And remember the numbers start at 1 to 6. So you need those numbers on here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure they're spaced the same, equal. And then you stack, you got 3 1, stack the x's. Or you can even do circles or whatever, but they need to be the same height. The thing is, the visual is how high does it go? So you want to kind of keep them at the same level. Then we got 5 3s. One 4 and 2 5s and 1 6. And that's the line plot. So visually you can see you got most of them stacked right here at 3. So that means the most the most popular, or the ones that he did most, the mode was 3 hours. By the way, the answers on this one are all going to turn out 3s, which I find kind of irritating, because then students think it's always has to match. It doesn't. The numbers for mean, median, and mode can be totally different. Okay, and usually they are. So calculate the mean, average. You have to add them all up and divide by 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So use your calculator. I added them. I got 42 divided by 14 is about, it's 3. Like I told you, they're all going to be 3. Median is the middle number when they're in order. And remember, if you have even number of data, you got 2 in the middle. So there's actually, these 2 are in the middle. So the average is 3, which means it's the median is also 3. By the way, these numbers do not have an outlier. There's no number that is really big or really small. So the mean, the average would be the best to represent it. The mode is 3. Notice how weird that is, because it's the most often, 5 times right here. And the range is not 3, it's 6 minus 1. The largest minus the smallest is 5. So this is called the spread, or how far, how spread out is the data. All right. Again, please don't think these always have to match. Okay. And then we are almost done. Oh, one more page. I didn't do anything on this page. I skipped it. I went to this page. This is page 385 at the top. In these 2 exercises, we're only going to do number 9. What is this one? Messages, text messages. Okay, determine which data set has a greater average and greater median. So you got two companies, Company A and Company B. And these right here, these numbers are the monthly earnings in thousands of dollars. So 50,000, 50, no, wait, 5,000, no, monthly in thousands, 50,000. That's weird. That's a lot. I don't think that's monthly. I bet that's yearly. Because if it's in thousands, then you would add 3 zeros. That would make it 50,000, 51,000. That's not a monthly income unless you're the president of a big, huge company. CEOs, they make more than that. But this is not real for a normal income. So I bet this is yearly. I bet they made a mistake. But I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just using the numbers. 50, 51, 52, 55. And so to find the average, let's call it Company A. This one, you have to add them all up, right? And divide by how many there are. So to add them, I will just go 50 plus 3 times 51 instead of putting so many numbers in the calculator, plus 3 times 52 plus 2 times 53 plus 2 times 54 plus 55 divided by how many there are. And there are 12 because we got, why do we have 12? I wonder. That sounds like 12 months. Huh. Oh, well. Now we get 628. When we add those, please do me a favor, listen to me and add them yourself, because you're going to get a test or quiz or something and you'll be sitting there going, how do I add these? Where are the buttons? Now is the time to practice. Divide it by 12. And when you do that, you're going to get 52.3. I'm rounding down because it's 333 repeated. So it's rounding down. Yeah, that's your average. And then we still have to find the middle number, the median. So for the middle, here's a good way to do it. I just cross them off from the both sides going toward the middle. So we got 2 here, and then we got this one, and then this one. That leaves me with 2 in the middle. That's 52. So then on this one here, Company, I want to pick some color that is interesting. Company B, the average, I'm just going to write it out because you know how to do it by now, I hope. The average is when you add all these numbers, just like I did here. So then I get 633 divided by 12 is 52.75. That's your average. Notice this one is 52.3. This one is higher, slightly higher. Than that one. And then the median, I'm going to do the same little trick. I go from the outsides in and cross off. So 1, 2, 1, 2, and then 1. I think that's how it works. And that's 53. So it's higher too. So it looks like company B is the one that's better wages. Okay, so that's how we can compare. Now, I'm not sure with crossing these out. I'm a little confused now. I hope this works for you guys. Otherwise, you would have to write them out in order, write out all the numbers, and then pick the middle. Let me try that just to make sure. So if I write out all these numbers, I have to go 50, 51. There's going to be 14 of them. 52, 52. 52, 53, 3 times, and then 54, 3 times, and then 55. Oh, I'm running out of room. So now I'm going to try that crossing out business from this way. So you always go 1, 1, like that. You want to find the middle. See, there are 2 in the middle, and that's correct, 53. All right, so that's how that works. Now we're coming to the homework, lesson check. We're on page 385, and not that many questions. Homework. You're going to do number 11. You don't have to do number 12. You're going to read the instructions. You're finding mean, median, mode. Then you're going to explain which best describes the data. Look for outliers. There's no outlier. So the average would describe it best. So whenever they ask explain which describes best, you're looking for outliers. And then you go back to page 1 where we started, and it tells you right here in the key concept which one to use what. If there is an outlier, use the median, otherwise use the mean. So that's that. Did we finish that page? Yep. Okay, whoa, my head spins from all these things moving around. Okay, we got number 11, that's it. And then on the next page, you're going to do number 13. This is the one where you have to set up an equation and solve with X. So the last, yeah, these are his test grades. Now he wants to know what does he have to get on the last test to receive 90% overall. So you're going to add all these plus the X, divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because it includes the X, and that has to equal 90. And then you have to solve it. Look back on the notes how we did that. Then it's the vocabulary, understanding the words, an error analysis about range. The student didn't understand exactly what range means. Then how is the range affected by an outlier? The question is it going to make the range bigger or smaller? Think about that. That's kind of the question that you're addressing. On the next page, you're going to do number 22 and 23. Okay, on the wildlife management, you got crocodiles and you tagged them, their length in meter, 2.4 meters. Those are how many crocodiles are there? There's 12, right? But now they're growing 0.1 meter each year. After 4 years, you're going to find the new length. After 4 years, you're going to exchange these with the new ones, right? 0.1 meter each year. They're grown for 4 years. How much are you adding to each number? You got to add that growth, and then you can make a new chart with the new numbers and find the mean, median, and mode of the new numbers. You got to add the growth to the old numbers. So that's a double whammy, okay? It's called very critical thinking. Some of you might have a hard time and go, man, I don't understand. Not a big deal. If you try your hardest and it's still not working, come back to class, put a big question mark in the margin and say, I need help with this. And nobody will fault you. Nobody will say, ooh, because most students will wait for somebody to be brave enough to ask, okay? Number 23, there's an outlier here. What does that outlier do? Would you want to use the mean like they did? Read the question. Okay, so those are the homework parts. Have a good, successful time with this. Thank you very much.